Ladies and gentlemen, before we get started, listen to this funny clip here from Alex Karp.
You need a higher purpose, and I also think you often need a lower purpose. Like the higher purpose for me...
What's a lower purpose?
Well, I love the idea of getting a drone and having light fentanyl-laced urine spraying on analysts who tried to screw us. So that's my lower purpose. And, and others. But the higher purpose for me was to get this nation to be the preeminent power in the world, because whatever falls...
It's funny here that the CEO of Palantir can come out, still add a lot of humor into what is going on in the markets, and recently what we've seen with the pullback of Palantir, truly leaving that interviewer speechless. You can see there. Now, before we get too far, we'll talk about Palantir actually holding relatively well in this correction zone that Palantir has experienced within the last trading day. So if you're a newer returning viewer, let's hit 24,000. We're on our way. Hit that like button. And of course, on a financial advisor, collecting all the data and dispatching it to you. Now, if we pop it up on the screen here, Palantir closed at the market close at 106.27. You can see dipped here down below 100 for a little bit, but quickly regained some support. And there was a decent reversal that closed Palantir right above 100 and currently is trading in the overnight after hours on Robinhood at 105.72. So the fact that you saw a lot of uncertainty with the whole kind of thing that's happening with the budget cuts regarding the Pentagon, there are some different sources coming out saying, hey, these are actually possibly not true, budget cuts. It's more kind of reformatting and recreating different ways to spend the money. So we'll see what happens, but different things are kind of being hashed out there. You also had, of course, the share selling in terms of that filing from Alex Karp, having the ability to sell about 10 million shares over the next 6 months. And then you had Kramer that came out saying Palantir is going nothing but up. Reverse Kramer theory. So where does Palantir sit today? Like I said, not mad at all here. What we've seen in terms of the community, I've seen a lot of people starting to panic a little bit. I mean, Palantir down here a little bit. Look how, large Palantir has accumulated in market capitalization in just the last few years. It's at a $250 billion market cap, ladies and gentlemen. So for people that have been got in early at a cheaper price, are still very high up on their actual unrealized capital gains. So what do the bulls say for this week's sell-off and the opportunity for this possible dip right here? We have analysts across the board, and what you see is when Palantir, remember, this is at one of the most popular stocks right now in the market, and it was one of the best stocks that we've seen in the S&P 500 last year. So when the stock is going to come down, you're going to see a lot of bearish opinions and perspectives talking about its valuation that will flood the internet. You can see that across the board here, talking about this cult stock losing momentum, analysts revisiting Palantir stock forecast following. You're going to see that. We've seen it anytime we've seen a shift in just price action, even just on one trading day that we've seen in Palantir. And this article talks about it right here. Palantir shares have more than quadrupled in the value over the last 12 months. So even though we had the tumble on Thursday, extending the losses on expectations, of course, for those defense spending cuts, like I said, we'll be kind of trying to find more information on that. The government right now is a key client for Palantir. That's where there is a lot of uncertainty, accounting for over 40% of its revenue. However, what we have today is Wedbush analysts said that this is exactly the opposite of how they personally believe cuts could affect Palantir. And we've talked about this before, and the fact that if Palantir, and if we see what the Doge possibilities, we see them cutting a lot of different contracts in the government right now in terms of the federal government, Palantir could be an outlier in this case, and it could be a winner in terms of that outlier, just due to the fact that they are bringing AI and actually trying to reduce waste. That is the goal of their whole company with AIP. So with their flagship AIP platform and streamlining operations, this could actually win Palantir more business from the Pentagon in a tighter spending environment. Unfortunately, if jobs are going to get cut, how are they going to replace that workload? AI could be an option. If AI is an option, then Palantir is the leading competitor right there that has some pretty deep ties with the government. So I can see this case right here. Let me know down in the comments. Do you guys see this case, or do you think no matter what, if there is a reduction in the defense spending budget, you think that will still negatively affect Palantir? I do see how Palantir can get out of this one, and I do think that they will, because the current administration right now, and this is all my own opinion, of course, but so anything can happen, but they want to be on top of the game in terms of the AI race that we see globally, nationally. They want the US to be the leader in AI. If they're going to be imposing cuts, that means that AI could easily replace probably a lot of these different workflows, different types of niches that need to be completed. And if Palantir can offer that solution, I think they're going to likely go to them. Talking about this, though, where the bearish articles are coming through. Talking about the stock loses momentum in terms of retail traders. They're not as, this talks about retail traders not showing signs of possibly petering out. No, I don't think there's any decrease in the retail here. That's not what's happening. The recent large price accumulations in terms of market cap, I think, is happening more from an institutional perspective. Retailers, yes, were there in the beginning for Palantir, but now what we've seen recently is an astronomical amount of shares being purchased that would likely only happen from an institutional just due to a mass effect. So the fact that you see here these articles talking about retail investors are fizzling out of Palantir, I don't agree with that, not one bit. In terms of Palantir has been one of the most bought securities, I mean, it makes sense it's been one of the most bought securities. It's one of the top hottest stocks right now, and it's one of the highest accumulating stocks in terms of market capitalization, quintupling its value here in just the previous few short years. One of the best stocks in the S&P 500, joining the NASDAQ. So, yes, these articles are meant to try to instill some type of emotion. So make sure, of course, you do your own due diligence. This whole article here talking about how Palantir, Jefferies, they actually picked through, reiterated an underperform rating for the stock. This is old news, and it comes back like this is brand new news. This is old news, ladies and gentlemen. Palantir doing very well. Now, let's talk about what's happening in the market. A slide today as Walmart is showing a decrease in confidence in terms of their guidance. Now, what you do have for the broader markets is the S&P 500 down about 0.4%, NASDAQ down about 0.47%. Not a huge slide, but coming down a little bit here, coming down from a record high. Now, Walmart drove the market lower after falling about 6.5%, even though the retailer actually reported stronger profits for the latest quarter than analysts had expected. The reason why we see a slide on Walmart is because they gave a forecast for the upcoming profit that fell short of analyst expectations. So it's in their guidance and their forecast coming up here that was short. As shoppers across the nation are still dealing with high inflation. We know inflation has been sticky, and of course the threat of tariffs. Walmart is still forecasting, trying to navigate the effects of tariffs and how that's going to affect their company individually. But this profit here, this is pulling stocks across the retail industry. You can see a lot of retail stocks, Costco, Target, Amazon, all falling a few percentage points. And then they talk about Palantir a little bit, what to do. What you do see here in terms of the bond market, treasury yields are actually edging lower after we see more U.S. workers are applying for unemployment benefits last week than economists expected. However, the numbers are still relatively low in terms of a historical type of perspective. But such of these numbers right here, how the Federal Reserve is going to react. Remember, last month the Fed refrained from cutting its main interest rate because their target and their goal is to help with this soft landing, the whole soft landing word, to try to get inflation down. And it's been sticky, and the uncertainty of what the tariffs are going to do to inflation. I don't think the Fed is going to be cutting rates in this next cycle. I just don't. Most of the market agrees with that. We'll see what happens, though. I don't think we're going to see many rate cuts in terms of what we're seeing right now with trajectories and what inflation's been doing. That's their top priorities, get inflation under control, not rates, unfortunately, which kind of stinks because people are trying to get into mortgages, people are trying to get into car loans. Just the cost of living is so dang expensive hopefully some big changes can be made to make it more affordable across the board. What do you guys make of all this with all the Palantir mumbo jumbo? I think this will all fizzle out. We'll see if Palantir continues to hold above 100 tomorrow, or if we see continued pullbacks in the market. Peace out. Take care, and I'll catch you guys later.